This is Omar Ahmed for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. It's Thursday late afternoon, coming into the evening. I'm joined by Gareth A. Davies. What's happening, G?
I'm good. No cigarettes, no tequila tonight.
Okay, so a bit of a calm one then.
Well, let's see what happens. We never know with me and you, do we?
All right, Gareth. Well, I wanted to talk to you about Dazn's announcement this week. They announced their lineup, their talent that will be presenting their shows starting from the end of this month with Fight Camp. So we'll go for each one. Firstly, let's start with Mike Costello. What do you make of Mike linking up with Dazn?
Well, it's great for Mike and it's great for Dazn. I mean, Mike's a brilliant commentator. Known him a very long time. I mean, joined the BBC, I think, when he was 17. He's been there 40 odd years, if not more, I think it is. And he's an ultimate pro. And I think what's interesting is I'm sure he won't be an in-house commentator because that's not Mike's style. He will deliver it as he always delivers it, you know. He's a great voice on boxing and they've gone to one of the very best in the world.
And Andy Lee going to be his co-commentator?
Yeah, I mean, Andy's brilliant. I mean, I've worked with Andy on radio before. I've worked with him on broadcast before. He's terrific. And he's a very sage mind on boxing. He's got a great voice. And Mike obviously has a great voice. Yeah, it's a great little team. Yeah, definitely.
It's no surprise that Chris Floyd and Darren Barker stay put in their roles.
Yeah, well, they've been doing that for a while. They're established. They're part of the Matchroom Media team, aren't they? In that sense, they've been doing tons of events. They do all the build-up shows. I imagine that they may have known that this was coming and that they've been preparing for this. So, you know, they've got their thing. They've got their chemistry, and I mean, I know both of them well, and you know, it's good. It's only to be expected that why wouldn't they have been a part of it when they've been a part of it like this, you know, for so long? Why wouldn't David Diamante still be, you know, the ring announcer? I mean, you know, these things are tried and tested and established over the last few years. So, you know, you're asking me what I think about these people. I mean, I've worked with them before. I mean, they're all, you know, they're all established people in the boxing world. So, you know, it's good. It's the team, you know.
So we can't forget Laura Woods and Maya Jama also part of that team. Yeah, what was your reaction when you heard that?
Well, with Laura Woods, she's got better and better as a radio broadcaster. I don't think her knowledge of boxing is particularly huge, but you know, she's a very safe pair of hands. She's got great personality, and her knowledge of boxing will grow. She's a really good presenter, and that was recognised in the Sports Journalism Awards, wasn't it, this year? So, you know, more to her. I worked with Laura. I've been on her first shows, and you know, she's very strong on football, as we know, because she's worked with Sky and she's been a presenter a long time. Maya Jama was a bit more left field, and obviously, you know, she's again a big personality with a lot of followers and someone a bit different. And you know, all these people are going to develop. If they can't handle the boxing, then they won't stay in it. But you know, it's a presentation team, you know. So I mean, I don't know what they're doing yet either in terms of who's doing post-fight interviews, or you know, I may be completely wrong on this, but I imagine they're not going to be doing the post-fight interviews. You rolling your eyes?
No, I'm saying they're not. I know who would be doing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's doing the post-fight interviews then?
Well, at the moment, after a Matchroom show, Chris Lloyd hosts.
Yeah, okay. So that makes sense.
I'd imagine he sticks with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you know, Maya Jama, I think, will do personality. She'll be in the studio. She can present. Laura's the same. I'm not sure who's going to be the anchor. I think they've got Tony Bellew as well, haven't they? You know, who's they're all tried and tested in their own fields. So you know, it's great. It's a great little team.
Before we carry on with boxing, Gareth, is it coming home?
I think England will get to the semi-finals and get beaten by Italy.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I fancy Italy for me have been the best team in the tournament so far. I like the football they play. I think they are. They aren't the Italy that gets a goal up and sits back anymore. Roberto Mancini is a guy I used to ghost columns for him actually for the Telegraph. He's a very astute man. Great personality. He's got a touch. Well, he's got a great touch of flair. Listen, I'd love England to get to the final and win it. It was brilliant the other night when they beat Germany. I mean, I even bounced up and down, a little bit, and thankfully for once we weren't clinging onto our fingernails, chewing them off in the last 5 minutes. They got that second goal and they closed the game down. In the last week, I've had the privilege of working with Paul Ince on a football show out in Portugal, as well as doing some boxing shows. And, had some great chats with Incy. I mean, he started calling me Gazza, so we were Gazza and Incy, which is, I suppose, a massive compliment. But, I pulled out a little stat when I was on the boxing, the pitch footy football show out there in Faro in Portugal, that England hadn't beaten Germany in a major tournament in a knockout phase since '66. So, 55 years ago. So I think Italy are a really good side. I mean, if England beat them, I think they'll have the momentum to win it. But I'm not saying I want England to lose, for clarity there, but I just think they're coming up against a very good side in Italy. And my honest prediction is that Italy will win.
Okay. So I saw
What about you?
I'm going to just say it's coming home. I'm just going to stick with that.
You weren't even born when It's Coming Home came out.
I wasn't. That's true.
It's amazing that one song, isn't it? Baddiel and Skinner kind of changed the format of the way that football was presented with Stato. And have you ever seen any of those shows?
No.
Go back and have a look. It'll be on YouTube. But Baddiel and Skinner, Frank Skinner and David Baddiel, with Stato, Angus. God, I can't remember his surname now. I know him really well, but he used to be in his pajamas, Stato, in the studio, and they'd go to him, and he was like the kind of he knew everything, and so it was. And I think that show, things like Soccer AM and that style of fun end of football and the sport came out of that. Really, it was the first time we'd seen something like that, and of course they wrote, football's coming home. It's coming home.
Okay, let me ask you about your chat with Tyson Fury. I saw you spoke to him. How is he?
Oh, it was pretty epic, actually. I turned up with no top on, as people will have seen in the in the interview. Go to my YouTube, GarethADavis.com YouTube. No, it's not GarethADavis.com. It's Gareth A. Davis YouTube, whatever it is. I film stuff. He put his Versace robe on, the gold one. When he fought Wilder the second time, it was the red one he was wearing all the time. I jokingly said, I think I remember cuddling up to him when he was wearing the red one. It wasn't. We had photos taken on his big sofa in Vegas, in the Mansion. He was really good. He was in really, really good fettle. He'd just been sparring. He spoke about the weirdness of Wilder not talking to him at the press conference, the long stare down. He said he got it. He got why. What could Wilder say? He said, what could he say? He'd made loads of kind of allegations and excuses and different things about the first fight. And that Fury thought it was quite a wise strategy in a way, not to get heavily involved in talking. But he's got the theory that Wilder will revert to type. He knows how to beat him. He's training incredibly hard. He's still aware of how difficult Wilder is as an opponent, how dangerous he is. Maybe not difficult, but dangerous he is. We've talked about mental health, and how it's helped him so much. He talked about the fall he always has after a fight, which I thought was fascinating. It doesn't matter how good or how big or how successful he's been in a fight. And he had that when he fought Wilder the second time. He still climbs into this dark place afterwards. And I think, in my view, it's partly mental health, but it's partly the chemicals in him that, the serotonin, the dopamine, the testosterone, the adrenaline, all those things suffuse together on a fight night, in a fight week. And as you know, I've been in his dressing room a couple of times before the big fights, and he's in a zone. He's the Gypsy King. Then he's not Tyson Fury. So we talked about that and how he deals with that when he goes home. When he goes back home afterwards, he's Tyson Fury, the dad, the guy that might wear his Versace shoes, shirt, and trousers and pants. But he still does the bins. He still takes the kids to school, does the school run, goes shopping with Paris, does all those the mundane, if we can call it that, chores that we do in everyday life. And he returns to being Tyson Fury, father, husband, and the guy that looks after his family. So I think that was fascinating. He said how it's helped his family, all the stuff he's talked about, mental health. That is, the Furies, they're big, brash family, and all alpha males, and so I think it's helped them in many ways. Are they counting the ums today? Done a few ums. So in many ways, I think he was very honest about a lot of things. He applauded the fact that women's boxing is growing. He's not focused too much on AJ, on Anthony Joshua, because he's got to get through this. Still really wants that fight. Believes he's head and shoulders above every other heavyweight on the planet, just because of what he is technically. And we talked about other eras, who his favorite fighters were. He's in a good place. He was engaged. He was very engaged. So he looks in a good place to me. But it can only take one punch from Deontay Wilder. And, the idea of Joshua and Fury fighting Umar could be scattered to the winds,
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay, Gareth, we saw the returns of Lomachenko and Gervonta Davis. Well, not the return of Gervonta Davis, but more so the return of Lomachenko, with a really good dominant display, getting the stoppage in the end. Your thoughts?
I thought Gervonta Davis was the performance of the weekend, because Mario Barrios was undefeated in 26, 17 knockouts, 5 inches taller with a 5-inch reach advantage. And Gervonta showed, even though he was a little bit one-dimensional in the fight, he just showed how he comes in and out so cleverly and so fast and so brilliantly. This could be a guy should headline it with Tyson. Not telling how to do your job, but he could go to the number one pound for pound if he keeps his life on track. He's got all the ability. There's no question about it. He could be the world's greatest leading boxer. Imagine him against Josh Taylor. You'd fancy that now, wouldn't you?
Oh.
What a fight. Exactly. What a fight. What a fight with Regis Prograis and him. What a fight with... Gervonta's got all those great fights to have, actually, a 140 down, Gervonta and Loma,
Lopez.
Well, obviously Lopez, yeah. But I think we're going to see Lopez after he's fought George Kambosos Jr. The fact he's gone back into the top rank in the ESPN fold from Triller means that, they're working towards a big, maybe Vegas Stadium fight now, or wherever it's going to be, maybe even up on the East Coast, maybe Madison Square Garden, one of those venues. They're going to be able to get a crowd in for that. So it's a big gate and he'll get paid handsomely. But I think that fight will be early next year, the rematch. So Gervonta was terrific. He's from a very troubled background, and he has trouble outside of the ring himself. So I think he's his own worst enemy, in that sense. But I think Loma was very good as well. I don't think the opponent was as good. Masayoshi Nakatani was not at the level of a Barros. So, but he did the job, and they both got stoppages, and Loma's back on course. I'm really excited about his second fight with Teofimo Lopez because he'll start fast. We may not win it. Lopez may have his number, but it's going to be much closer this time, in my view. But he's going to be more open to being hurt by Lopez because I think he's going to engage more and he's going to be more aggressive from the off.
Gareth, you mentioned some potential fights that Tank could have. You talked about Josh Taylor, Lomachenko, Teofimo Lopez. There's so many more. Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia. There's a load of them. What did you make of Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s comments after saying they'll only fight or they'll only match Tank with PBC or Floyd Mayweather fighters?
Well, that's just nonsense, isn't it? I mean, it's absolute nonsense. And I think it's Floyd just flexing his Floydness, if I can put it that way, in support of PBC, Al Heyman and Fox. But, when those big fights come, the Ryan Garcias, and I mean, Ryan Garcia against Tank, that is a huge fight, because just the reach, that's a crossover fight for me.
Do you think
him and Lopez
happen though, Gareth, with Tank?
Yeah, they will. They will happen. There's enough money in them. That's all it is. They're just building. I mean, I think once the heavyweights have fought, I'm talking about Wilder, Fury, Joshua, Usyk, Dillian White. I think that's the division, round about 135, 140. You've got all those great names there. You've got 5 in the lightweight division. You got, 2 or 3 in the super lightweight or light welterweight division, as old blokes like me call it. And that could be the division that sustains boxing for a little while. I mean, it looks like, Josh Taylor will build with Jack Catterall fight in Scotland late in the year. Then the hordes will travel with him then to America afterwards, which is going to be tremendous as long as he wins that, to give Catterall his due. But I think that's that's the division. I mean, we're going to see Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence at welter. Then I expect after that we will see Crawford and Spence, or Crawford and Pacquiao, whoever wins that. Never write Manny Pacquiao off, So, yeah, they're big. I think we will see them all. There's too much money in them not to waste them. Sorry.
So they have done an incredible job though. PBC, Al and Floyd with Tank. You'd have to say he's up there as one of the biggest stars in the sport, right up there.
No, I agree, and I think he inhabits a place maybe just above 5 or 6 in the pound for pound as well, in the mythical pound for pound. He definitely deserves to be in the top 10. I think he's extraordinary. When you think he's what is he? Is he 25 with 24 stoppages undefeated?
Yeah,
he is. He's 25 with 24 stoppages. I mean, come on. I know people knock the WBA titles, but he's won 1 super, isn't he? The WBA's Boxer of the Month. Of course he is, but. No, he is brilliant. I mean, I know we saw him against our man Walsh over here, but there's something about him. There's a darkness about him that can create an amazing narrative, in terms of the way people like me talk and write about people like him. He's so talented.
Okay, just before we close off, Gareth, next week, obviously, we see Lyndon Arthur headline a card at the Royal Albert Hall. Anthony Yard is also on the bill. So we're building to that rematch, which is contractually signed. When that comes around, that's a big fight, isn't it? Yard.
It is. I think they both win. I think they'll both win on a week on Saturday. Yeah, I mean, it's more about Yard than it is about Arthur for me. How does Anthony Yard improve? Because Lyndon Arthur could win a world title as well, because he's got very simple skills, and I mean that respectfully, but they're very honed, and he's a clever fighter. He's a big man as well, and he's a very determined individual. He's very impressive to me. I love his steely core, and Yard is, he's the muscle shark, isn't he? He's nearly got there against Kovalev, and then he got undone against Arthur last time out. Same way that Daniel Dubois was undone by Joe Joyce, behind a simple, beautiful jab. and it does repel the biggest of punches. So yeah, fascinating. Love to see both of them come through, leading to another big fight, a rematch, which I imagine will be on a Queensberry card. Where are we now? Kind of so it'd be mid-July, early July. We're talking maybe October, November, aren't we? Which is terrific. We need it. We need it because we've got the big fight in September, on September 25th, Usyk and Joshua, at the home of Spurs. Because it's dried up a little bit, hasn't it? I mean, in terms of, the fight camp, we've got the fight camp in August. So yeah, it's weird because I think all year we were all distracted by the talk of Fury and AJ. And then when that collapsed, you just saw that boxing needed a lot of building this year, So yeah, interesting stuff.
All right, Gareth, appreciate your time on IFL TV. We'll do something in person next week when we're both at the Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah, we were boringly stayed today, I thought.
What's that?
Never mind. I'll explain it to you off air. I thought we were boringly stayed.
Oh, do you
STAID. Just very serious today. I'm going to bring some tequilas and cigarettes to the next one.
You do that, Gareth. We'll speak on IFL soon, all right? Take care.
Cheers, my friend.